James North Baptist Church has deep roots in the city of Hamilton. Since 1887, we've been worshiping God, growing in our faith, declaring the gospel, while ministering to those living in the North End, caring for them both spiritually and practically, including the most marginalized in our community. We began as Northern Baptist Church, ministered for over 100 years as Hughson Street Baptist Church, and now are known as James North Baptist Church. However, this is so much more than a name change. In longing to build a facility where we could worship God, grow in our faith, care for others, and declare the gospel, God led us also to address the need to build affordable, supportive housing in our neighborhood in this new facility.
When hearing about the church moving to a new facility and partnering with Indwell, the Health Center was very excited. This is an innovative partnership. Normally, you don't see church and housing, although I'm sure there are many churches that do help people find housing options. Having them both together, integrated, is going to be so beneficial for the residents of this community.
James North Baptist Church has been a leader in this kind of a partnership with Indwell. Marrying affordable housing with their church locations is an excellent model of how we can actually bring affordable housing to fruition. So the church can continue to function and affordable housing can land on the same site.
James North really set a standard for collaboration and working with Indwell to design, to develop, to construct, and now to operate this building together. And it's a real testament to their vision.
In 1886, God burdened a group of people at James Street Baptist Church to establish a work in the North End of Hamilton. In 1887, Northern Baptist Church was established at the corner of Ferry and Ferguson. Then in 1909, God blessed the church with the facility that we've used until August of 2020, an old stone school sitting on a dirt basement.
I came to the church 13 years ago, and about 2 years before that, they had started talking that they were going to outgrow the old building down at 383 Hughson.
In 2010, we found that the facility God had given us was packed, and as it was packed, we began to look for other places that we could use to worship Him in.
This property came available. We actually put an offer in on it, and during that process, they took it off the market. Then we said, okay, let's go and just go before God in prayer. Started to pray about it, and about 3 months after that, these people came back to us and said, would you like to buy it?
And 95% of the parents that have kids came back. God provided this property at 500 James Street North that we would be able to renovate into a ministry and worship center. I'm going to give half of what I have to the poor, and anyone I've stolen.
The North End has been changing over the last number of years, and we know that housing has been a big issue for a lot of the people that have spent their lives here.
We wanted at Indwell to better understand the changes in particularly in the neighborhood where we are right here in the North End. And they're certainly positive for some, but for others it was having some really negative, dire effects actually, where housing was no longer affordable, where people were finding themselves homeless.
This has been a neighborhood for a long time, one of Canada's poorest neighborhoods, but really seeing rapid change. And how could the church be at the forefront of leading that towards a more renewed and sustainable and beautiful future?
That was when Dwayne met with Indwell, and out of that conversation came this whole project. That they basically challenged us towards thinking about affordable housing.
Indwell is a charity based here in Hamilton with a mission to create affordable housing communities for people seeking health, wellness, and belonging. Many of our tenants do live with a very low income, often related to disability, and really have struggled often to find affordable and safe and high quality housing.
Our city, our neighborhoods are only as good as how we treat the least of us. And at Indwell, we're concerned about the folks who don't have the opportunities of housing, of hope, of opportunities to set goals and to achieve those goals. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to see lives transformed, and we approach that through the human dignity and the human right to have a good quality place to live.
It resonated with who we are as a church, our connection with the North End, with trying to do something to help those who are impoverished, face housing issues and everything like that. Dwayne drove with them in the North End, pointing out properties that he thought would be appropriate for Indwell to build in.
And we'd hear these stories as we drove around the neighborhood. That used to be a place where people could afford to live no longer, and talked about the suffering that was going on, particularly by marginalized individuals and those without means and ability to ride this rising tide. Some will tell you that a rising tide lifts all boats, but if you don't have a boat, you're drowning, and many people in the community were drowning.
And they got back here to this building, sitting out in the parking lot, and they said, before we talk about all the stuff you don't own, why don't we talk about what you do own?
What about putting affordable housing on top of your church? And Dwayne explained, no, Al, we already got our building permit application in, and it's probably far too late to do that. But Dwayne went away and talked to the church, and they said, you know what, this is the right thing to do.
When we realized how many people were being displaced out of our neighborhood with the gentrification that was going on, and we wanted to assist them and help them so that they weren't being displaced out of our neighborhood, we decided to work with Indwell and create a new building, a new facility that would not only include worship and ministry space, but also 45 supportive, affordable apartments for those that were in precarious living arrangements. That meant that we could no longer use the building that was currently there and renovate it like I'd planned, but we had to bulldoze the entire building and start from scratch.
This building was built to Passive House standards, the international standard for energy efficiency, because it was a commitment early on that we as Indwell and the church made to really pursue a standard that was ready for the future, but responsible in the present. The standard really boils down to using about 150 kilowatt hours per square meter per year for all the energy use in the building. So this is a big building. There's a lot of people using the space, the church, the gymnasium, the community kitchen, the hospitality areas, offices, as well as 45 apartments here where people are living full time. So when you add it all up, that's quite a lot of energy that would normally be used. Passive House hopefully drives that down 70, 80% even. Basically, we want our tenants and the users of the building to be able to use the building as they always would, but without requiring a lot of energy to heat it, to cool it, to light it, and for ventilation. Practically, for the tenants in the building, we think it will mean about $50 a year for heating costs. So very, very cost effective for tenants who have low incomes and need to have that, affordability in their utility bill every month.
Affordability is, the big key for a lot of these projects is, making them at a price point where people can actually afford to live in them. The need is high, and so we need more of that. Indwell does it exceptionally well. They're a model in terms of how this happens, in fact. This is, affordability for, most everybody, whether you're on social assistance or otherwise. So what a great opportunity for those folks to get stable, comfortable, decent housing.
Passive House offered an objective standard we could design towards for very low energy use, and that was really capable of leading the way of how to do very good, very high quality architecture that was deeply energy efficient.
When you think about this partnership, it gets me excited about the potential to actually make a difference in our city, in our neighborhoods. When we look at what might be possible, if every church, if every public library, if every fire station looked at having affordable housing above those spaces and included that, we could change the story of housing and homelessness, not only in this neighborhood and in our city, but across Canada.
As we entered into this project, we recognized that our church community wouldn't be able to handle the weight of the financial contribution necessary alone.
There was a big change in the budget for this whole project over the years. And it's been incredible to see just at every step as the price has gone up that God's just brought somebody else into contact with Dwayne.
The Lord has raised up a number of donors from outside of our church who've come alongside of us and contributed sacrificially and greatly to see this project come to fruition, and we're so thankful for each of them. The City of Hamilton, the Province of Ontario, and the federal government have all become vital project partners as we put supportive and affordable housing here at 500 James North. We're so thankful that we've worked with Envisage Architects. We're also thankful for Skilled Heist and their contracting services, and both organizations have been fantastic to work with.
The partners we've worked with on this project have been incredible for us. They have shared the vision of what this building is to be, that it's not just another building going up. This is a place where God is to be glorified and ministry for the gospel is going to take place, and there's kingdom purposes behind all of these things. Walking into this building, I still, every time I walk into it, I just praise God and thank Him because it's overwhelming what it has become.
The building is gorgeous. It is accessible for all different types of people. It is safe, it's airy, it's beautiful.
The architecture is phenomenal. It's really become a highlight for neighbors, and I've heard many comment on how thankful they are for the building. And as the church is anchoring here at 500 James for the foreseeable generations, this building is a quality and a style that is really going to be timeless.
We just have a great anticipation that God is going to do something very unique and special with this building.
We're excited to be able to come here and share some space with the church and with Indwell, and looking for new partnerships and opportunities to evolve from them.
I think this is really a model of what partnership and what Hope and Homes can look like, not only here in Hamilton, but across the country.
This kind of collaboration with the church community is a way forward for our province and indeed our country.
just keeps expanding our vision for what we're going to be able to do in this neighborhood for the glory of God.
It's amazing to look at what God has done, taking us in 1887 from a wood shack at Ferguson and Ferry to the old schoolhouse we converted to a church on Hughson Street, now to 500 James Street North, where we're here in this worship and ministry center that includes 45 apartments. Praying that this will be a place for generations. We'll be able to worship our God. We'll be able to grow in our faith and knowledge of Him. We'll be able to care for the marginalized and the poor. We'll be able to house those that are precariously housed. We'll be able to be a training center for those that want to come to learn about urban ministry. And we will be a model for churches all across Canada who want to care for those that have less in a kingdom gospel-centered way. We're so thankful for what God has done.